Hello, Arifin bhai. So here is the short comprehensive system design of the current infra that we have. We have one SportsMonk API service that is a third-party service that we are actually paying for the live score data of our fantasy game. So it collects all of the data that should come to our system, and it collects all of the real-time data, right? So about the football matches and everything. Like let's say for example, if we have 3, 4, or 5 of the matches ongoing, the SportsMonk collects all of the data and it sells to different parties via API. And the problem is it has a rate limiting issue, and it don't have any push pull mechanism or any webhook provided to the other party. It only gives you the HTTPS request or the API endpoints to get those data. What we are now trying to do is that we are trying to pulling the data inside our system and trying to save it into the MongoDB. So MongoDB currently is using one Flex type of instance, and our API backend services is resides into a server. Let's assume that we calling it 122. That service have the API server, like means the API endpoint, and we have a cron job also that's constantly working as a kind of event loop to check if we have updated data into this server. If we have so, then actually we can call API after only confirming that yes, we do have data. That means the first thing we actually sorry that means the first call will come to the what I would say cron job, the first call, and the cron job will try to initiate the API call, and the API call pushes some of the tasks with the payload into the RabbitMQ, and RabbitMQ actually pushes the data into the MongoDB instance. So here question comes that what is the need of RabbitMQ? So the application developer decided and developed the thing in such a way that the RabbitMQ will collect all of the tasks with the payload, so that the MongoDB Flex instance do not get overloaded and overwhelmed with all of the connections that is required to insert data. When we have one current match or live match is ongoing, or when you want to sync with the SportsMonk service, then probably we have let's say for example 20 plus table to handle, and we have lots of data update, CRUD, and delete ongoing. And if batches of the operation takes place without RabbitMQ, then it will overwhelm the MongoDB instance into the right side. So for that reason only, there is the only reason he is using the RabbitMQ. So here is one thing is that yeah, the RabbitMQ is not a problematic thing. The problematic thing is the server we are using the RabbitMQ, and the same server actually using we're using the API endpoint, like API software also, the API backend also, right? The backend and the RabbitMQ is actually residing within the same server, so that's a problematic thing. And now if we want to scale the RabbitMQ thing, then we need to vertically scale 122. So let's say for example, the amount of processing power and the amount of the improvement or scaling factors required by RabbitMQ instance, that is not similar with the API endpoint also. That means we are actually having two problem here. We cannot scale RabbitMQ separately horizontally, and we will have to manage the RabbitMQ instance. For let's say for example, if that goes down, then our data pipeline is broken. So for that reason, I am suggesting to take out that component into other service that have that can have two improvement. We can have other RabbitMQ service that will two of the server or three of the server can run same RabbitMQ instance by ensuring its availability, guarantee, and fault tolerant nature and it will support 24/7 to support our data pipeline, continuous data pipeline delivery. But currently we don't have this mechanism. At least we need to separate these things. So what is the problem of the version 1 improvement? Version 1 improvement requires resources. They will maintain and prepare this highly available fault tolerant RabbitMQ cluster. So for the time being, we don't have that luxury, and the cost of doing so will also increase in the development side, managing side, also in the server infrastructure side. So now what are the other alternative we do have? We have I have suggested to use two of the services. One we can use Cloud MQP, and or we can use anything from the AWS MQP services. So AWS MQ can be a solution, or like cloud AWS MQ, or like cloud MQP. Those can be like those are the two suggestions we do have. But this one is not doable within like a very short amount of time. We have like planned these months, like we have planned the last day of this month as a like production, like fast deployment. So within this time frame, this is not doable. And also like I think this is not okay to have like break the pipeline if anything goes wrong. This is one side we currently do have. And another thing is that like these services itself, the 122 is also coupled tightly with another tool or another thing that is called Socket.io. So now the problem in that side is the Socket.io responsible for feeding the front end server for any kind of live data code change or live change required by the API. So now what the problem with this Socket.io itself is, Socket.io is not a thing to like scale. Sorry, socks. So Socket.io is not actually thing to keep in that server also. The same way, at least the first version of the improvement should be using any third party or managed service for Socket thing, or we can like have the extra server pool to manage Socket.io, and as a backplane we can also use Redis. That will take another good amount of time to have like this highly available system. So for the time being, we don't know this is the perfect product, and we do have all kind of in-house server farm to manage all of the tools. So this Socket.io can have like extra like another server pool or a third party solution. So for that reason, for the same reason I am suggesting here the cloud AMQP and the AWS MQ. Here also I am suggesting like to move into like another service. We can use Pusher or PubNub type services. So Pusher is my like fast choice, you can say that, and also like PubNub we can use that. So we have another alternative is Ably. We can also like take that in consideration. Also like Pusher sockets. So we can also like take that in consideration, right? For Socket. So now the same problem is when we want to like take this service in Kubernetes deployment, like IP2 like 122, this same server that is currently bloated with so many different things that we don't have the freedom to calculate like the API backend server only and like scale it independently. So that's the main problem currently, at least I'm feeling that we have. So yeah, that's it. And even if you want to use Socket, same thing goes for the sockets. We don't want we can keep it as a single point of failure for the front end application to get all of the live data. For that reason, we'll have at least 2 or 3 servers of the same Socket instance. And if we want to scale the same Socket instance and with our own in-house server farm, that means we are currently using DigitalOcean. That will become another I would say another round of optimization, in-house optimization, that will require a team, full-fledged team to manage Socket.io. So if the Socket.io, what I would say, if we want to make it highly available for like lakhs of user, crores of user, then definitely the Socket.io instance is not quite good enough. On the backplane, we will need to have a Redis as a backplane, right? So and the Redis will also require like another cluster. So another cluster of Redis instance to manage the thing. And for the first version of this product, we cannot take the risk of managing everything in our side and like troubleshoot from our end. Rather, we can use the cost optimized version of the third party solution if needed later on the period. If the threshold like crosses that we can optimize the cost using our in-house server, then that's a matter of discussion we should like really take into consideration. So I don't want to take that path for like next 15 to 20 days, as all of our resources is not fully available. They are partially working into our system. We don't have that luxury. So for that reason only, I'm suggesting these two things. Let's take out the RabbitMQ thing into another side, and let's take out the socket thing into like Ably Pusher or anything like the system, anything like the owner want to be so we can take that approach. Now another thing is that we also cannot have the like flex instance. We'll have to like move to M20 at least for this data sync service. So M20, now here question comes, if we take the M20 thing, then the connection pooling availability and the number of connection availability is very less than the flex one. Then we may need, like we can like then there is a possibility of removing the RabbitMQ and directly pushing the data into the MongoDB instance itself. There is no need of RabbitMQ then, right? If we, let's say for example, migrate to M30 or M20 or even more than that. So we will do a round of calculation only after like separating the service. We have the stable pipeline, and for the next phase of the pipeline improvement, we will improve it to M20 or M30. If that covers the like current frequency of the data pushing mechanism, then we can actually also think of actually totally removing the RabbitMQ and totally depend on the MongoDB server. So now the MongoDB instance is only responsible, this cluster is only responsible for pulling all of the data and keeping it in house. We have other services that will feed the front end application, that we have other MongoDB like cluster setup for that only. So yeah, that's actually the high level overview of why I'm suggesting so, and what can be the possible solution, at least from my point of view, that this server is quite heavy with all of the component. We cannot take it into auto scaling. We cannot take it into like there is only one way to scale it vertically, and it will also have a threshold, right? We cannot like do anything much like into this same server. We have so many things. That's it, Arifin bhai. You can speak with the experts of the field that what is their feeling and how we can improve. But the recommendation is Ably Pusher or any of anything of the same kind. We can use that, or there is Cloud AMQP and AWS AMQ or anything alternative. They like provide us the same service. We can go with that. Thank you.